Our area's most beautiful properties deserve the finest realtors. Meeks Realty Group. We focus on buying and selling residential and commercial properties throughout the tri-state area. Contact Meeks Realty Group online at meeks.us or call 304-440-1101.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. 580 Live is presented by Thornhill Automotive and is broadcast live from the Parmar Stores studio. The country, the United States of America. The state, West Virginia. The city, Charleston. This is 580 Live. And your host of 580 Live.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
And a good Thursday morning to you from the Parmar Store Studio. 580 Live brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group, the voice of Charleston, WCHS. Ryan Nicholson is our producer today. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text is 304-935-5008. 580 Live brought to you by Thornhill Auto Group, including Thornhill Toyota. Come check out the new Camry, Corolla, RAV4, and more. At Thornhill, they're not just selling cars, they're creating unforgettable adventures. Click or come by Thornhill Toyota, WV.com, or on the Thornhill Motor Mile US 119 in Chapmanville. And we do the show from the Parmar Store studio. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. Parmar invites you out tonight for Wally and Wimpy's night at Buffalo Wild Wings and Cross Lane. Starts at 6. Lots of great prizes, food and drink specials, and more. And be sure to pick up your copy of Wally and Wimpy's, the state's premier football publication, at your favorite Parmar store. And as always, if there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. We are loaded up this morning, man. Coming up a little bit later on the show, there's going to be a school safety summit held real soon here in Charleston, and we're going to be talking to several folks that are going to be a part of that coming up. Also, Brian Dayton from the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce is going to be joining us as well. We're going to spend some time with Brian talking about workforce participation in West Virginia. We all have heard the statistics. You've heard me talk about it. Hoppy and others have talked about it, how we are 50th, and if you want to include the territories, we're maybe 51st in workforce participation. But Brian seems to think that there may be light at the end of the tunnel. So we're going to talk to Brian about that a little bit later on. Also, if you follow me on social media, you know that I made a big announcement yesterday afternoon that one of the sponsors of the show, Pinnacle Consultants, has hooked us up with tickets for West Virginia University and Oklahoma State this Saturday in Morgantown. Not only tickets, but talking about passes to the Blue Lots, and we're also talking about these seats are actually in the Touchdown Terrace section. So that's pretty cool little gift. I'm going to give those away a little bit later on in the show. So lots to get to this morning. Crescent Gallagher from Americans for Prosperity joins us. Crescent, good morning. Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Mention all these things I've got coming up on the show, but we start with you.
Yeah. Well, Dave, I think you're having me on today to talk about our poll. And we did a poll October 3rd through the 4th.
Mm-hmm. We mean Americans for Prosperity.
Americans for Prosperity did a poll. And we were talking to voters about issues, how they viewed candidates, general direction of the country, but also most importantly, and probably the thing you're most interested in, is the governor's race. Mm-hmm. But we did live calls, which is the gold standard for polls these days. We talked to likely Republican voters, so that's your people that are registered Republicans that vote often in primaries, also independents that are likely to vote in a Republican primary, given that that's where a lot of elections are going to be decided this next year in May. So we came up with a lot of results, and we got a lot of data back that will help us with our strategy here with Americans for Prosperity.
Now, let's get right to the numbers according to this poll, and if I get any of these wrong, just let me know. Attorney General Patrick Morrisey in the lead, according to your poll, with 29%. Delegate Moore Capito is next at 18%. That's followed by Secretary of State Mac Warner at 8%, auto magnate Chris Miller at 6%, and Rashida Yost at 1%.
Yep, that's right, Dave. Attorney General Patrick Morrisey still has a strong lead. He's still the leading candidate in that race for governor. Had an 11-point lead over his next leading opponent, Delegate Moore Capito. And we also found that Attorney General Patrick Morrisey has high favorabilities, high name ID with these type of voters, and that's leading to him leading early in these polls and being the leading candidate for governor. People know who Patrick Morrisey is. They know his record. They know he stands for West Virginia values and jobs consistently over the years. Where the other candidates struggled and where they need to make up ground is name ID. 50% of people had never heard of Delegate Moore Capito. I think 70% for Secretary of State Matt Warner and 80% for Chris Miller. So those candidates are trailing. There's still about 7 months until the primary, but they have a lot of ground to make up where Patrick Morrissey is a well-known figure in West Virginia politics.
Now, is it safe to say, and I know this poll is different than than an endorsement. It's not necessarily that, but is it safe to say that you folks are backing Patrick Morrissey?
Yeah, I mean, no secret there. We've endorsed Patrick Morrissey. We're out there knocking doors. We plan on knocking 200,000 doors to make sure he's the next governor of the state. We will do our usual tactics of paid media as long to back him as well. But this poll was unbiased. It was a benchmark for us to understand where the race is at, what voters care about as far as issues and favorabilities. And the margin of error for this was 3.4%, which is pretty good for a poll these days. So despite our endorsement and where we're at on the race, it's clear that Patrick Morrissey is the front runner.
There weren't a lot of things in the poll, to be honest with you, Crescent, that surprised me. But one thing that did, I guess, is you asked the question, and I guess it goes back to name recognition about the gubernatorial candidates, and you asked the dreaded never heard of them or no opinion, either way. 29% of likely GOP voters either have no opinion or have never heard of Patrick Morrissey. 45%, as you said, for Capito, 61% for Mac Warner, 70% for Chris Miller. And full disclosure, I used to work for Mac Warner, and I'm not publicly backing anyone in this race. But how is it that 61% of the GOP electorate has never heard of Mac Warner? He's a two-term Secretary of State. He's like the other constitutional office holders: Morrissey, Riley Moore, McCuskey, Kent Leonhardt, crisscross the state from one end to the other. I just didn't understand that response.
Well, and Dave, I used to work for the Commissioner of Agriculture, Kent Leonhardt, and the thing I always heard was, "Oh, we always vote, but I didn't know we vote for a Commissioner of Agriculture." And it's like, well, are you sure? And there's always a drop down on a ballot. People want to go and vote for the president. They want to vote for U.S. Senate.
Sure, yeah.
They're less likely. And
numbers are always big on presidential years, much more than what they are in non-presidential years.
And you and I kind of live in a political bubble. We've worked for these people. We're friends with these people. People know them in Charleston, but they just don't know folks outside the state. I think where Patrick's done a really good job is he has a great record for Attorney General, and also he just goes out and communicates very well about what he's doing. He crisscosses the state, and I think a lot of people who are statewide elected officials, your state auditor, your Commissioner of Agriculture, they just take for advantage that, or granted that maybe people know them more than they really do. So to any candidate out there that's been elected, you got to keep working. You got to keep telling people what you're doing and why you're doing it, and making sure people know who you are.
I think it's kind of interesting, and this is not really what we're talking about today, but I do find it very interesting, as you said, you and I are both kind of political junkies, that come January 2025, one way or the other, every position is going to have a new body in there, except for the agriculture commissioner, Kent Leonhardt, because now somebody can still file to run against him, but as of now, I don't think anybody else has. I could be wrong about that. But there's going to be, one way or the other, a new Secretary of State, a new auditor, a new governor, new Attorney General. There's going to be a whole lot of people in the Capitol trying to figure out where the toilet paper's kept.
Yeah, and that's good for the health of the Republican Party. It's also why we focused on a lot of issues, understanding where people are at, because these voters are going to decide who's going to win these offices in the Republican primary. So where are they at on school choice? Where are they at on open enrollment? High support for that stuff. We asked the question about taxes, and we framed it a little differently. Obviously, Republicans want lower taxes, but are you okay with lower taxes and fewer services? And overwhelmingly, people said that's the case too. So, with Republican supermajorities, Republican statewide officers, if you want to be one of those bodies, you have to be knowing what the candidates and your voters care about. So these issues matter. Candidate quality matters. And it's a good thing that we've done a lot of school choice, a lot of keeping the budget flat, because that's what voters really care about.
We know that on the other side that it has been announced that Steve Williams he's not, I don't think, publicly filed yet, but he did make an announcement at the UMWA deal in Racine back on Labor Day that he's going to run for governor on the Democratic side. We don't know if anybody else is going to run. Your take on the Steve Williams candidacy?
Dave, I want elections to be competitive, but I just don't think right now it's a good time to be running as a Democrat in this state. I think a lot of these races will be decided in the May primary. And that's why we focused on these voters, because honestly, these are the decision makers of the state. So understanding what they care about, where they're at on candidates, how they view candidates is important to our strategy as far as who we back and how we get involved in these races.
580 Live is brought to you part by Hudson's Pizza. This month at your favorite Hudson's, get a large 18-inch pepperoni pizza and any pizza deal, only $21.99. Find your local Hudson's Pizza for dine-in delivery or pick up at Hudson'sPizza.com. It seems to me, though, that and there was a headline, I think it was in yesterday's Gazette Mail, about the amount of money that Patrick Morrisey has raised. I mean, he's just far and away, way above anybody else. So, and what that means is that some of the, a lot of the money, as with these candidates, all of them, is going to come from out of state in many cases. What is it about Patrick Morrisey that appeals to people outside West Virginia that get involved in all these races, not just West Virginia, but other states as well, Crescent?
Well, it's just, as the Attorney General, people care about the Attorney General regardless what state it is, and he's done a great job of leading coalitions of Attorney Generals across the country for big wins at the U.S. Supreme Court. So, as much as we want to care about the state auditor, the Attorney General has a great impact at the U.S. Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court, and they can do a lot together as coalitions. Arguably, the most impactful position beyond that is Ag Commissioner, because there's a lot of ag policy that's done in Washington, D.C. So I think people care about Patrick Morrisey because he's that fighter. He's fought for West Virginia values, jobs, and he's led those coalitions at big wins at the U.S. Supreme Court.
What are some of the other polls that you guys may be coming out with as we get closer to the election? Any other plans for other polls? Well,
we always want benchmarks. We want to show our impact, so we might do polls later down the road, maybe in March or near the election. We're keeping looking at races. AFB Action endorsed Riley Moore for U.S. Congress in the northern half of the state. We're going to get involved in some state legislative races. I think we can expect some endorsements, our first round endorsements by the end of the year, but once folks file in January, we'll have another round of endorsements. So we're looking at other races. There's going to be a lot of great competitive ones. A lot of these races are going to be decided in the primary, so we're going to get involved and make sure aligned candidates who care about the right issues get elected.
And you and others from Americans for Prosperity have been on the show in the past, but again, kind of give us the mission statement, if you will, the mantra of Americans for Prosperity.
Well, we're a right-of-center organization. We're a grassroots organization in 50 states. We work with connecting voters and citizens with their lawmakers to make sure good policy is enacted at the state level. So we're focused on issues like tax reform, controlling spending, criminal justice, healthcare reform, things like that. So we're a grassroots organization first. We knock doors, we talk to voters, and just make sure good policy is passed at the state level. We've been in West Virginia since 2015. We've played an important role in the tax reform and the Hope Scholarship programs, and there's still a lot to do in the state, so that's why we're still involved in these elections.
And where can people learn more about Americans for Prosperity?
You can learn more at americansforprosperity.org.
Crescent, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
We'll talk again soon. Thanks a lot. It is 9:20, 580 Live, brought to you part by Bridge Valley. Are you interested in improving your company's IT workforce? Well, did you know that Bridge Valley offers custom-tailored IT training to bridge the skills gap? With Bridge Valley, you can train for little or no cost. With a 50-50 salary match, Bridge Valley can also supply skilled graduates and apprenticeships for your company. Visit bridgevalley.edu/apprenticeships today. We're going to talk school safety when we come back next from the Parmar Store Studio, 580 Live, brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses want to thank you for supporting local small businesses.
Are you ready to make every adventure awesome? Look no further than the new Thornhill Toyota. Introducing the 2023 Toyota Camry, Corolla, and RAV4. The ultimate companions for your journey. Whether it's the sleek Camry or the adventurous RAV4, we've got the perfect ride for you. And don't forget our unbeatable selection. We've got a ride for every style and budget. At the new Thornhill Toyota, we're not just selling cars, we're creating unforgettable adventures. So why wait? Visit us today and let's make every adventure awesome together. Click or come by at ThornhillToyotaWV.com or on the Thornhill Motor Mile, US 119 Chapmanville. See Thornhill for full details.
Unsure you're ready for retirement? That's understandable. After all, you only retire once. Make the smart choice and call 4th Avenue Financial. If it deals with retirement planning, you can be confident they have the experience you need. Retire right with 4th Avenue Financial. Go to 4thavenuefinancial.com or call 304-746-7977 to book your free introductory meeting today.
Securities offered through JW Co Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Co Advisors Incorporated, JW Co Financial, JW Co Advisors, and 4th Avenue Financial are unaffiliated entities.
Hello, I am Judge Stephanie Abraham, and I am running for Circuit Court here in Kanawha County.
Judge Stephanie Abraham was appointed to the Circuit Court by Governor Governor Jim Justice. Judge Stephanie Abraham owned and managed her own law firm and was an attorney for the Department of Education and general counsel for the State Board of Education. Judge Stephanie Abraham is a fair and balanced but tough judge who will always follow the Constitution to protect liberty and achieve justice for all.
I am Judge Stephanie Abraham. I appreciate your vote for Kanawha County Circuit Court.
Paid for by the committee to elect Judge Stephanie Abraham.
West Virginia, here are some numbers for you. 41. The percent of West Virginians with high blood pressure. 7. We rank 7th in the nation for prevalence of stroke. 1. We also lead the nation in prevalence of heart attack. High blood pressure is called the silent killer because many people don't know they have it. High blood pressure can lead to heart attack or stroke. So talk to your doctor and learn your blood pressure. Knowing those numbers could just save your life. Brought to you by the Benedum Foundation and the American Heart Association.
923, 580 Live, brought to you by your local insurance experts from Brightway, the Maze Agency of Tays Valley. From your home to your car or even to your pet, Brightway, the Maze Agency will customize the perfect insurance plan for you and your family. At Brightway, the Maze Agency, they aren't just agents, they're your friends and neighbors. Call John and Sherry Maze today, 304-814-2509, or visit BrightwayMaze.com. Text says an unbiased poll from Americans for Prosperity ? I didn't realize it was Funny Friday, says a texter. Texter says Americans for Prosperity is a billionaire-funded special interest group that will throw money at Republican politicians. Don't let them pretend otherwise. They represent corporate interest only. They do not advocate for the people despite their lies, according to a texter. Texter says uneducated voters, they vote based on party and name affiliation, according to a texter. Well, as you know, the folks at Pinnacle Consultants are sponsors of this show, and they have been for a couple of months. And I've had those folks on the show just to kind of, get you to know what it is that they do there. They're the only credited as best as folks in the entire state. Just awesome people to deal with. I got a call from them the other day saying that they're happy with the show. I don't know why, and the response that they're getting from me talking about them, et cetera, et cetera. So they wanted to do something special for the listeners of the show. So that having been said, check this out. They have set me up with a pair of tickets for the Mountaineer game against Oklahoma State this Saturday at Milan Puskar Stadium. These are prime seats, folks, right behind the band in the touchdown terrace. Drinks, snacks, all that stuff is included, plus tickets to the Blue Lot, too. So here's what I'm going to do. If you're caller 5 right now at 304-345-5858, 304-345-5858, caller 5 right now, I'm going to give you the tickets, the passes to the Blue Lot, etc., for the game this Saturday afternoon. Now, this is all courtesy of the good folks at Pinnacle Consultants, so I hope before you do any kind of renovations to your property, your home, or your business, whatever, give them a call. I'm looking for caller 5. Actually, Ryan is looking for caller right now, 304-345-5858. 304-345-5858. Operators, in this case, Ryan Nicholson, standing by now for those tickets. And we'll get a winner for you here momentarily. Give us a call, folks. Ryan is ready to go in there. He wants to give away these tickets. Not only tickets, I mean, these are prime seats. Rob Cunningham is with us, Rob, and some other folks, too, for about school safety. But before we get to that, Rob, I know you're a Marshall guy.
Yes, sir.
But those are prime tickets. You've been to Mountaineer games, right?
Yes.
Those are prime tickets,
Absolutely.
Right? All right.
I'm trying to call right now.
Put your phone up, Rob. Next Thursday and Friday at the Coliseum Convention Center, there's going to be an event called the West Virginia School Safety Conference being organized by the Mountain State Educational Services Cooperative. I got a full house here to talk about it this morning. Rob Cunningham is the Deputy Secretary for Homeland Security in the state and a member of the West Virginia School Safety Committee and a member of the Putnam County Board of Education. Jan Hanlon is the Executive Director of the Mountain State Educational Services Cooperative, and Jonah Adkins is the Director of Pre-K through 12 Academic Support for the West Virginia Department of Education, and they're all inside the Parmar Store studio this morning. Welcome to the show, one and all. Rob, welcome.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Jan and Jonah, say your hellos.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, I don't have a mic for Jan and Jonah in here, Ryan. Try that again.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
There we go.
Thanks, Dave. Good to see you.
Jan Hanlon and I, just so you guys know, Jan Hanlon and I have known each other for 78 years.
And we look good.
Yes. Jan and I go way back. We'll get to that story a little bit later, Rob. Rob, I want to start with you with the overview here, and the others can jump in any time. What is this all about?
100% it's about school safety and keeping our children safe. I got involved with this last year when Governor Justice started the initiative for West Virginia to have a school safety program, and it has done nothing but grow. And we have many partners with Jan and Jonah at Education, DHHR, the Fusion Center. We've got many aspects of state government working in one direction to keep our children safe.
Jonah, let's go to you now. Now, tell us what it is that you do.
So I serve as the director of the Office of Pre-K-12 Academic Support, but I'm also the school safety contact for the Department of Education. So Rob, Jan, we work very closely together. We also work with our school safety officer program, Dana Chapman, who is our state school safety administrator. We've developed this partnership over the past couple of years, and we work collaboratively on about all of our projects because it's a concerted effort. And Dave, I'll go ahead and say now, we say this every time we have the opportunity that while Rob led this initiative and we work as a collaborative team, school safety is everyone's responsibility. Community members, school personnel, students, everyone has the responsibility, if you will, to if you see something or if you suspect something, then let someone know.
And Jan, let's bring you in here. What is your role in all this?
My role is, I was watching the Uvalde shooting in Texas, and I called the state superintendent at the time and said, you know what, it's about time that we have a school safety conference. So he led me to Rob and Jonah, and then together, like Jonah said, we formed this collaborative effort because we know hurt people. Yeah. So we want to do a lot of things on the front end, the preventative end, to keep anything from like that happening in the state of West Virginia.
Now, Rob, we'll go back to you. By the way, we have a winner of the tickets. I want to say congratulations to Joey Pence of Huntington. Joey Pence of Huntington won the tickets for West Virginia University and the Blue Lot passes and the Touchdown Terrace. He'll be hanging out in the Touchdown Terrace section there of Milo Pushkar Stadium. So congratulations again to Joey Pence of Huntington, our winner. And Joey, you can pick those tickets up here at our studios, 1111 Virginia Street East in Charleston, during normal business hours. Make sure you get those by, I'd say, late tomorrow afternoon. Stop by here at the studio and pick up your tickets and enjoy this, all courtesy of Pinnacle Consultants. Now, so Rob, this is a 2-day event. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
2-day.
Yeah.
Give us all the details on that.
October 26th and October 27th.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be here at the Charleston Convention Center.
Mm-hmm.
It's not open to the public, but it is for law enforcement and education personnel, and that's the real purpose.
Yeah.
The people who are boots on the ground to get some information to help them keep our children safe.
And so what do you, how do you go about inviting people for this? As you said, it's open to law enforcement personnel. Who gets in, Jan?
Everybody. We want K-12, of course. We want public schools. We want private schools. But also, you have large hospitals that are going to send people to it, and also churches. There's churches are always in danger of something happening there. So we have some church folks that are going to join us as well. And also like mental health workers, counselors out there in the community. We think we have a great lineup, and they'll take something back with them that's going to help them in their position.
And all three of you, I did not meet Jonah until today, but the other two I've known for quite some time. As I joked about my, knowing Jan Hanlon it wasn't really 78 years, I promise. But all of you have been in the education system. Rob, of course, you're a member of the Putnam County Board of Education. Jan, you've been held several positions in the school system. Life is different now in 2023, than what it was. It may as well be 200 years from when any of us were in school as to what these kids and educators have to go through now.
Absolutely. Dave, I've been on the Board of Education almost 11 years now. And during that time period, we've gone from not having very many man traps to putting man traps in nearly all of our schools in Putnam County. And we are... Now,
define what man traps are.
A man trap is the little room that you come into when you first enter a building. So you have to be buzzed into the first part, and then you're stuck in there until they buzz you into the next part so you have access to the school.
Right.
So just simple things like that. 10 years ago, we didn't have secondary access to schools. So if someone cut the power, you couldn't get into our schools. Well, now we have alternative methods so first responders can gain access to our schools in emergency situations.
Now, as far as the 2-day session, you got some pretty heavy hitters coming in to speak and to present. I mean, talk about that.
Okay, so we have several keynote speakers. We have Dr. Steve Webb, who has 27 years of experience in education and emergency preparedness. Dr. Webb has developed his own safety technique called SAFE, and it's designed for children and small businesses to use during an unexpected violent situation. We have Dr. Peter Langman, who's a psychologist who has actually written a book. And the book is entitled "Why Kids Kill," and it's inside the mind of a school shooter. As Jan mentioned earlier, hurt people, and as we see a lot of people a lot of students that deal with trauma, and a lot of the things in their life, unfortunately, those traumas that they experience do have negative consequences. We also have Michelle Gay, who is an educator, but also unfortunately lost her daughter in the Sandy Hook shooting. And she does a lot of speaking around the country. We have Paul Tim, who is the Director of Education Safety at Allegiant, and Paul has actually worked in West Virginia in years past, doing some consulting statewide. And then we have Dr. Jim Harris. Dr. Harris is at Marshall University, and he is the Associate Director of Training at the West Virginia Autism Training Center, and he specializes in behavioral health. Dr. Harris, I know him personally, and he does a fantastic job.
Knocks it out of the park every time.
He really does.
And Dave, the good thing about the conference this year is we've got some excellent breakout sessions. I mentioned we're going to do a debrief on Uvalde and, kind of examine what went wrong there so we don't do that in West Virginia. And we also have crimes against children. One of the new things that we added this year, Dave, and I know you'll be interested in it, is security at athletic events. We practice in the regular school all the time, school safety protocols and procedures. But, are we really doing that at an athletic event? And there's been a rise of violence at athletic events around the nation. So we're going to focus on that. We also have substance abuse, drug usage in the state of West Virginia. And then one of the breakout sessions that you might be interested in is a session called Sextortion. And we have a House of Representative member from South Carolina whose son was involved through gaming, like Xbox, PlayStation, and things like that, was involved in sextortion. I didn't even know what that was. And he didn't want to be an embarrassment to himself, so he ended his life. So we're going to do some emotional intelligence, how you react to trauma and how you react in different difficult situations. So I think that there's going to be a lot of things for a lot of people.
And one of the guest speakers, I guess when I was looking at the lineup that you had there, and I didn't catch her first name, but Miss Gay, whose child was killed at, was it Sandy Hook? At Sandy Hook. And that's one of the interesting things about this, guys, that I have seen, that a lot of times when people, and we saw it at Parkland and we saw it at Uvalde and these different places, these parents and grandparents and loved ones of these kids, or sometimes educators that lost their lives, they want to get out there and they want to tell stories and they want to talk about things to look for that maybe the parents or others or teachers didn't notice in the kids, different behaviors that they had. And they want to get out there and they want to help others lobby one way or the other. Some have got involved in gun issues and some have got just school safety issues. And to have somebody like that to come in and tell her story is simply amazing to me.
It is. It's so personable.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, thankfully, and this is a fingers crossed, you don't want to tempt fate or anything, but I'm not saying it can't happen here, like, a Columbine or Sandy Hook or whatever, but in West Virginia, we've never really had an issue like that. There have been threats and there have been some minor issues, but we've never had anything like that. But we don't want people in West Virginia to think it can't happen here, because it certainly can happen here. And sadly, probably will happen here at some point. And that's the message that we want to get out to people, Rob.
Yes, sir. And we've had some real close calls, and we've had some great response from educators and administrators in the schools, and also law enforcement, that we've been able to prevent really tragic events from happening. And that's the big thing, is to make sure we're all prepared to deal with it if it happens. But number one, we have to prevent. And the way to prevent is for everyone to be involved, for everyone, if you notice something, make sure you let someone know so we can stop something bad from happening.
Give us all the details on the conference again.
October 26th and October 27th at the Charleston Convention Center.
Okay, and where can people learn more? On your websites or whatever you get?
Yes, on the Mountain State Education Services Cooperative website at ESC dot
Com.
Yes.
Or they can Google the West Virginia School Safety Conference. Make sure they put in 2023.
Yeah.
Last year's will pop up as well.
And there's also some information on social media on the Mountain State Education Services Cooperative Facebook page.
All right. Well, guys, I appreciate you being here. Rob Cunningham is the Deputy Secretary for Homeland Security and also is a member of the School Safety Committee and a member of the Putnam County Board of Education. Jan Hamlin, the Executive Director of Mountain State Educational Services Cooperative, and Jonah Adkins, the Director of Pre-K through 12 Academic Support for the West Virginia Department of Education. Guys, I appreciate everybody being here. Thanks a lot. We'll talk again soon, and best of luck with everything next week.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. Thank you, guys. 580 Live is brought to you in part by QC Kinetics of Huntington and Cross Lanes. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulders, or your back. QC Kinetics can make it happen without steroid surgery, pain pills, or downtime. Call QC Kinetics of Huntington and Cross Lanes for a complimentary consultation. 304-202-5566. 304-202-5566 for QC Kinetics of Huntington and Cross Lanes. We're going to take a break. Brian Dayton from the Chamber of Commerce is up next from the Parmar Store Studio. 580 Live brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group and the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you looking for a technical job in the medical field? Generations is growing and looking to add on job-trained physical therapy techs to our rehab team. To apply, visit one of our 7 convenient locations or simply click on us at generationspt.com.
Thrive with 5 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Poca Valley Bank. Poca Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 5%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by a Poca Valley Bank location today or call 844-782-2651. Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield. Subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Poca Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
Are you ready to make every adventure awesome? Look no further than the new Thornhill Toyota. Introducing the 2023 Toyota Camry, Corolla, and RAV4. The ultimate companions for your journey. Whether it's the sleek Camry or the adventurous RAV4, we've got the perfect ride for you. And don't forget our unbeatable selection. We've got a ride for every style and budget. At the new Thornhill Toyota, we're not just selling cars, we're creating unforgettable adventures. So why wait? Visit us today and let's make every adventure awesome together. Click or come by at ThornhillToyotaWV.com or on the Thornhill Motor Mile, US 119 Chapmanville. See Thornhill for full details.
Let's talk about your business phone system. It's old and needs updated, but you probably think, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There are many benefits to a new phone system from Comax Business Systems. The sound is much clearer. Everyone in your office can have a dedicated line that will remote call forward from their cell phones, and your voicemail will actually work. Comax's digital phone systems are competitively priced and efficient. Call Comax Business Systems for a free quote today. Comax Business Systems. We've kept West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years.
Elevators. You take them for granted until they let you down. If you're working to maintain a stellar reputation, then let me introduce you to DC Elevator. We want to work with you to make sure your people get where they are going. What could be better than a new company coming to the area and already having 45 years of experience? DC Elevator is bringing a new culture of elevator maintenance, repairs, modernization, and installation to West Virginia. Don't leave your people hanging. For a free consultation, call DC Elevator at 304-345-7222.
Meeks Realty Group is a locally owned real estate powerhouse. They specialize in residential and commercial properties. No property too big or too small for Meeks Realty. With their team of the finest realtors in business, Meeks Realty Group is your trusted partner in finding your dream home or your dream commercial investment. Call them today, 304-401-1101, or visit meeks.us. Text says, how many guns do we need in school? Okay, how many guns do we need in school before kids will be safe? Tick says man-trap is like a portion in a prison, like a Sally port in a prison. Tex says, Dave, our children and grandchildren's safety has to be the number one priority throughout the state and country. Also, we need the death penalty for anyone who would go into our schools and do harm to our precious students, according to a texter. Text says Putnam County truly appreciates Rob Cunningham and all the work he does on our Board of Education and the work he does to keep our kids safe. Text says there is a first responder Pinnacle connection. Talking about our sponsors, Pinnacle Consultants. When buildings are donated to fire departments for training, the acquired structure must be asbestos tested. Pinnacle is the only certified local testing company. Speaking from experience, they are fast, friendly, and inexpensive. All right, so now I got to send an extra bill to the folks at Pinnacle for that text that came in. Brian Dayton from the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce is here. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm well, Dave. It's great to be here again.
Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here. You know, Brian, there's all kinds of big job announcements that continue to come to West Virginia. But the one thing that doesn't seem to get any better, or at least on the surface it does, and that's what we're here to talk about today, is workforce participation rates. Now, again, you've heard me talk about this. I'm not talking about those who are too old to work or those who physically can't work. Talking about able-bodied adults of working age who, for one reason or another, choose, being the key word, choose not to work. And we had stories on this morning on the morning news about that, about this thing that we're seeing after COVID when people just chose not to go back to work. You know, they're not getting benefits, they're not getting the COVID stimulus, they just chose not to go to work. But now last week I mentioned something on the show about it, and you sent me a text and said, I'd like to come on because there could be some headway being made here. Is that what you're going to come here with good news for us today, Brian?
Well, at least some maybe positive news that slightly
half
positive.
Half smile.
Half smile. I like that term.
All right. Go ahead.
So workforce participation rate is something we've really been paying attention to for quite a while at the Chamber because we are, as you mentioned, bringing in a lot of big job announcements and new opportunities coming to the state. Those are things that we were really praying for, 8-10 years ago to change our policies to get them here. We're now seeing them. They're coming. Last year, Nucor, that was a major announcement. They're breaking ground tomorrow. These are some really big things that are happening. Let me just real quick, maybe for the benefit of your listeners, talk about that labor force participation rate.
Okay.
So West Virginia's rate is 54.7%. I looked it up this morning. What that number, how it's calculated is, it's everybody over the age of 16 who is not institutionalized. And so institutionalized would mean active duty military. If you're active duty military, you're not going to be counted in this number.
Sure.
If you're in a prison, if you're in a long-term care facility, you're not counted. But it's everybody else above age 16 that's not institutionalized that's technically available for the workforce. The U.S. average is 62.8% right now. We're 54.7%. So we're a full 8 points behind the U.S. national average. Now, what's interesting, our employment in West Virginia right now is the highest it has been since 2008 before the Great Recession. And it's continued to come up and up and up. Right now, there are 758,800 people working in West Virginia. That is 7,000 more than last September. Our unemployment rate's 3.8%. I mean, that's an extremely low number. But the issue is we do not have enough people to fill the jobs. So right now, through our chamber membership, we believe there are about 50,000 job openings in West Virginia right now. They can't find the people to work them. So that's been the real issue, is making sure that we have the people to fill these jobs as Mitch Carmichael and Mike Graney and their teams are out bringing people here, that we're going to have the people who can go in and fill those jobs. So there are a number of things, I'll pause here in a second, but there are a number of things that we are working on to try to boost that.
Okay, what?
So great question. So let me just tell you directly from the chamber what the chamber is doing on this. We have just received grant funding for a workforce unifier that's being run through our foundation. The goal for that is to bridge the gap between employers, the education system, and our students, to make sure that our students that are coming through school right now are going to have the skills and the qualities necessary, both hard and soft skills, for the workforce of tomorrow. So that is something that we're directly working on. A program that we also have working right now is called Jobs for West Virginia's Graduates. This program was originally started back during the Cecil Underwood administration. It fell by the wayside several years ago, so the Chamber Foundation picked it up and we re-implemented it. We are in every high school right now in Logan and McDowell counties. We are expanding to other counties right now. But this program is a full credit elective course for students who may need a little bit extra assistance. How do you interview for a job? What jobs are available? It's really targeting those kids who may not have all those opportunities and benefits to learn those skills at home, and providing them a lot of help. The graduation rate for this program is fantastic, and it also follows those kids for a full year after they graduate.
So it doesn't just turn them out. I mean, they track exactly what it is that they're doing.
Yeah, that job specialist follows that kid through graduation and then for a year after. So it's depending where they're going. They could be going to a 4-year institution. They could be going to a community college, maybe straight into the workforce, maybe the military. But that job specialist follows that student to make sure if they need help that they're with them to give them that assistance. And it's really been incredible. Just as an example, last year during the Chamber hosted an annual Women's Summit. So there were several of the female students that were able to come to this summit. The connections they were making, I mean, it was right there, the opportunities that they're going to have for work in the future, opportunities to go to colleges and universities they may not have had before. So we are actively hands-on working in those areas right now to try to boost workforce. And there are a number of other entities and organizations that are doing the same thing. It's one of the things that we're doing right now.
So, okay, you talked about that program for the folks coming out of high school and the younger people. What about middle-aged people? I mean, is there anything out there for the guy or gal who's 40 years old that has just dropped out of the workforce and they're not getting benefit? Because I think sometimes, I'm not saying it's not, there are people that abuse the system. There always have been, there always will be. But we have a tendency to think, okay, well, people are just sitting at home, and there are people like that. I'm not going to deny that. There are people like that. But there are a lot of people that have just dropped out and are just not doing anything now. I don't know how they're supporting themselves because, again, we're not handing out money like we did before. We've made substantial welfare reforms over the years. Probably need to do some more, but we've done substantial welfare reforms. Is there anything out there or any encouragement from the 40, 45-year-old, as I said, to get off your butt and go to work?
Absolutely. I mean, there are a number of things right now, Community college, for example, is not just for people who are coming right out of high school. It's available for anybody to go back in, and our community colleges are doing a great job right now trying to match up with employers who need to hire people and find out exactly what skills they are needing. You can't force somebody to go to work. I mean, that is a reality. You cannot force somebody. But those opportunities are there. It's trying to educate people about those opportunities. There are a couple. I was just in a meeting earlier this week. I can't really say too much more about it just yet. It'll be we'll be hearing more about it later. But really designed exactly for that. How do you find these people who are not working right now, who may have a desire, they just don't know how. How do we get them plugged back in? Make sure they have the skills needed for the jobs that are available, and because there are jobs available basically everywhere right now.
And there are so many different programs, as you mentioned, not only through chambers, but different things. There's different Dress for Success programs because sometimes people have said, well, I need to go for a job interview, but I don't have the proper clothing. There are I live in Putnam County. I know that Ashley and the folks at the Putnam County Chamber do a wonderful job on those programs of getting people the clothing that they get them, a pair of Dockers and a tie or a dress or a suit of some kind to go to a job interview.
Absolutely.
So there are people that are out there trying to help. Let me before I let you go, there's a text here for you. It says, ask Brian if the Infrastructure Act and Inflation Reduction Act have been good or bad for job growth in the economy in West Virginia.
So I think we're seeing the Infrastructure Act in particular is really bringing some new opportunity to West Virginia. One of the things that we have a strong benefit in this state is that we're basically within an 8-hour drive of almost half of the population of the United States. And so we have ample rail, plenty of roads, plenty of water, and water for transportation. So that infrastructure bill, we were very, very supportive of it because it's an opportunity to really beef those systems up and make sure that we're available. I think that without that infrastructure bill, I'm not sure we would have seen several of the announcements that have come into this state. And I get it; that bill has become a political hot potato. But it's. But I think the reality is we may not be seeing some of the announcements that have come in had that bill not passed.
Brian, I appreciate you being here. Let me get this word in quick for the folks at General Hardware. 580 Live is brought to you part by General Hardware and Lumber of Winfield. From kitchens to paints to decks, straight framing wood, roofing metal, and anything else you may need, you'll find it at General Hardware. Good local hometown folks to deal with, General Hardware and Lumber of Winfield. All right, we were here to talk about job participation, but before we let you go, we won't get into it greatly, but we do have an election coming up. What are you guys looking at? I'm not talking about candidates or anything like that, but what are you guys looking ahead for 2024?
Well, it's an interesting environment that we're now in West Virginia. 10, 12 years ago, the question was almost, well, whoever wins the Democratic primary is going to be who wins the general election. Right now, the election is largely going to be decided in 6 months, 6-7 months in May during the Republican primary. So we are keeping very close tabs on that. Who's filing for the legislature, who's filing for the statewide offices. And it's a daily thing that we're paying attention who's running. We have a lot of people who are serving right now, I think, for the right reasons, that are rolling up their sleeves, doing the hard work, casting the tough votes to just continue moving the ball down the field. So it's very important that we continue to support those individuals and help them do that. But 10, 12 years ago, it was the Democratic primary.
Exact opposite switch.
I heard Chris Stirewalt describe at one time that we were a two-party state for about 15 minutes. That's probably the most accurate description I've ever heard.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I don't see it changing anytime soon. Hey, Brian, I appreciate you being here as always, man. Thanks a lot.
Well, thanks, Dave. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Brian Dayton from the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce. Phone calls to 580 Live, a service of Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly, and our texting service is provided by Fruth Pharmacy, your hometown family pharmacy. Back after this from the Parmar Store Studio, 580 Live, brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group and the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses care for your family.
Hello, I am Judge Stephanie Abraham, and I am running for Circuit Court here in Kanawha County.
Judge Stephanie Abraham was appointed to the Circuit Court by Governor Jim Justice. Judge Stephanie Abraham owned and managed her own law firm and was an attorney for the Department of Education and General Counsel for the State Board of Education. Judge Stephanie Abraham is a fair and balanced but tough judge who will always follow the Constitution to protect liberty and achieve justice for all.
I am Judge Stephanie Abraham. I appreciate your vote for Kanawha County Circuit Court.
Paid for by the committee to elect Judge Stephanie Abraham.
Are you ready to make every adventure awesome? Look no further than the new Thornhill Toyota. Introducing the 2023 Toyota Camry, Corolla, and RAV4. The ultimate companions for your journey. Whether it's the sleek Camry or the adventurous RAV4, we've got the perfect ride for you. And don't forget our unbeatable selection. We've got a ride for every style and budget. At the new Thornhill Toyota, we're not just selling cars, we're creating unforgettable adventures. So why wait? Visit us today and let's make every adventure awesome together. Click or come by at ThornhillToyotaWV.com or on the Thornhill Motor Mile, US 119 Chapmanville. See Thornhill for full details.
Are you seeking ways to enhance your company's IT workforce? Bridge the workforce skills gap with Bridge Valley's IT training. Elevate your business capability with custom-tailored IT training that empowers your employees with certifications, continued education, and more. The best part? Training is low to no cost to your company. Bridge Valley can also feed a steady stream of skilled graduates and apprenticeships with a 50-50 salary match while training. Visit bridgevalley.edu/apprenticeships today.
6 minutes away from 10, the WCHS Network giving you a chance to win tickets. We have been all week long to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the Coliseum and Convention Center November the 17th. Now, all this week, I actually only have, I guess, today and tomorrow for a chance to win TSO tickets. What you want to do is listen for TSO moments throughout the day here on the WCHS Network station. Grab those keywords, head over to WCHSnetwork.com when you hear them, and we've been counting them down. Monday, we give away fifth row tickets. Tuesday, fourth. Yesterday was third row. Today, second row tickets, and tomorrow, first row tickets. Your chance to win. Brought to you by Putnam County Bank, where relationships matter. The Voice of Charleston, WCHS. Text says, thanks to Biden for all these jobs coming to our state. Let's go Biden, says a texter. Texter says, the able-bodied and able-minded people that chose not to work should not be allowed to receive the thousands of dollars from the Earned Income Tax Credit, and they do. Dave, says a texter, will you have more WVU football tickets this week? And by the way, congratulations to the Mountaineer men's soccer team as well. I don't think I will, but you never know. Federal grand jury subpoenas have been issued to the Kanawha County Commission and the Kanawha County Emergency Ambulance Authority and others in the whole Kent Carper ordeal. That is according to WOWK-TV 13. Now, as of yesterday, no charges have been filed. And keep in mind, that subpoenas don't necessarily mean charges are going to be filed. Sometimes it's just a way of getting information. It just means they're looking at stuff. Now, the big deal appears to be, did Commissioner Carper offer a job via email to the girlfriend of a cop that was conducting the investigation into the alleged indecent exposure incident going back to May at Daniel Boone Park? And since the discussion of the interest in a potential job was done over the internet in the form of an email, that makes it a federal issue. Now, again, that's all according to WOWK-TV 13. We will, of course, keep you updated as more official information becomes available. Now, this is coming actually tomorrow night. There's a big event going on. It's called Ha-Ha's for Tatas, and it's for breast cancer, as you may well guess. It's happening at the Holiday Inn and Suites tomorrow night. WOWK-TV's Amanda Barron's going to be serving as the MC, not only comedy tomorrow night, but also there's auctions as well, and the money raised, again, is going to go toward breast cancer care. Lots of folks are making that possible. We're going to spend some time in detail talking about that tomorrow. Amanda Barron is going to join me tomorrow as my guest host. One of the comedians that is going to be taking part in the show tomorrow night is going to be on the show tomorrow as well, and I'm looking forward to having that gentleman on the show, and so that is coming up tomorrow on the show. So the endorsement that everybody thought was coming has happened, and you know the one I'm talking about. Former President Donald Trump has announced he will be endorsing Governor Justice in the governor's race for U.S. Senate. And for Alex Mooney, that's got to sting. Trump saying, quote, Jim Justice will be a great United States Senator, and he has my complete and total endorsements, end quote. Of course, because it's Trump, there was incorrect usage of capitalization, etc., but I digress. The former president making the announcement on his social media platform, Truth Social, this is a quote, now, he will never let you down, said Trump, again, end quote, with improper use of capitalization. The governor said, quoting, he is honored and thankful to be endorsed by Trump, went on to say, quote, my opponent, speaking of Alex Mooney, is supported by one of the largest anti-Trump super PACs this election cycle. That, of course, was a reference to the anti-Trump super PAC Conservative Club for Growth, which is pushing against Trump's re-election bid. Now, Mooney said he respectfully disagrees with the Trump endorsement of Justice. Mooney says he's the only true conservative in the race. Brad McElhenney with a story posted at WVMetroNews.com. Poll numbers have Justice way out ahead, and this is only going to go to further that. So, as it stands right now, get ready for Senator Jim Justice. In the meantime, a local judge of Virginia has a hearing set for next month on whether the Justice family's businesses have to pay up to $300 million in assets owed to the family's preferred lender, the one that they normally use. In the meantime, the battle over the missing helicopter continues too. So, all right, we got to go. Thank you so much to all my guests for being on the show today. Brian Dayton, the folks from the School Safety Summit that's coming up next week, and Crescent Gallagher from Americans for Prosperity. Friday Funhouse coming up tomorrow. Amanda Barron's going to be here. Hannah Gardner with our Adopt Me Please Pet of the Week. Nikki Walters, also from Channel 13, is going to be stopping by the studio tomorrow as well. Chris Lawrence High School football loaded up. Friday Funhouse coming up tomorrow. Hobby's up next. I'll see you tomorrow. Till then, have fun and love somebody.
WCHS AM, 96.5 FM Charleston, and 104.5 Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here too.